Hi, Charlie Kasorik, Jackbench Woodworking, and today I am on location in Denver, Colorado with my friend Andy Klein.
Hi, Charlie.
Hi, Andy.
Pleasure to have you here.
Oh man, thanks so much for having me over here. I really look forward to getting together with Andy for the interview. Now, Andy, most people know Andy, or he's best known, I should say, for his magic Sawblade that makes boxes just like that, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And actually, I guess you're, as far as I'm concerned, you're kind of getting a reputation for being the inventor guy.
Right.
Yeah.
I think part of that maybe has come from the fact that I really haven't had a shop since August. And I haven't been able to do any woodworking, so kind of coming up with ideas has been all I've been able to do for the last several months.
Oh, so all you've been able to do is come up with brilliant, genius ideas. You don't need a shop. Maybe you're better off without one. I'm joking there. So Annie, you know, like I said, you're pretty well known, at least by a lot of people, for the inventions. You've got the Sawblade and the clamps and the Vise, and we'll talk more about all that. But first of all, what's your background? I mean, you're an engineer?
Yes, I'm a chemical engineer, and I just recently, in the last few months, got my first non-engineering job. So for 14 years, I was doing process engineering for a big agricultural company.
Okay.
And just recently, now that I'm finishing up a business degree, I got a business position.
Okay. So and that's the one thing, since we do know each other a little bit. You have a family. You had this job, and you traveled quite a bit for that.
Right.
Big, multinational corporation, big job. You're down in the shop doing YouTube videos, you're building furniture, you're coming up with all these ideas, these inventions, you're out talking to retailers, manufacturers about your inventions, and you're getting an MBA in his spare time. I'm impressed.
It's been a busy several years. I've had to cut out just about everything else in my life, other than the family and the job and then the side effort stuff.
So are you done with the MBA now?
No, I've got 2 classes happening right now, my last semester. So I paid my last tuition bill and I'm almost done.
Great. Must be a nice feeling.
It is a nice feeling.
Yeah. But so anyway, one of the main things that I was hoping we could talk about today, if it's all right with you, is a little bit about your creative process. I mean, what leads you to these ideas? I mean, how do you start?
Sure. So, and this is I'm not the first person to give this advice, but for me it really starts with a problem, a thing you perceive as problematic and not sufficiently addressed by anything that's available to woodworkers in this case currently with what's out on the market. So taking the drawer, as the first invention, and this is a really popular video, that started with just a frustration in how tricky it is to make good drawers. I mean, you can go the dovetail route. You're still cutting 8 pairs of joints, either with a router or by hand. Any way you do it, it takes quite a while, and then you got to fit the bottom. It's a finicky process, especially for something like a shop drawer, where you just want to knock it out and have it not fall apart on you. And it doesn't have to be pretty. My invention isn't made for drawers that are supposed to be pretty. There just didn't seem to be anything that really quickly addressed that issue. So I had that in the back of my head, and just kind of mulling around with profile. I kind of started with, okay, let's think about the lock miter. Lock miter is kind of a pain. You need 2 router bits, and you're still cutting all these different sides, and you got to get the heights adjusted right. And so there's a lot of problems with it. But the simple profile, but I started thinking about just the profile. Could I do something similar that looks a little bit like a lock miter, but you cut 2 sides at the same time? Very quickly you realize it can't be a symmetrical cut, which means it can't be a router bit, because router bit spinning is going to make a symmetrical cut no matter what.
Right.
But could it be a table saw? And I drew some profiles out and started thinking about, maybe this cut could be made with a table saw. And if I go down that path, what might the solution look like? So that's kind of the progression. That's what went through my head to get to the point where I had the prototype designed.
Wow. Okay. Well, that sounded nice and fast and easy. So basically the process, if the way I heard you say it is, you've got it's a problem that you want to solve.
You need a worthy problem.
A worthy problem.
Yes, a worthy problem.
Not just some crummy problem, a worthy problem.
A worthy problem.
No, you got a problem and something that bugs you, something you want to figure out, and that's what drives you. Okay, and I understand that. I get that. I start the same way. And then from there, it's just iterative, just trying different things out, or?
I think so. Let me think about that. So I think, so let's say you've identified your worthy problem. I think in my mind what I tend to do is then skip to, I don't know what the solution is, but how does the solution function? So we'll just go back to the drawer thing. Let's say, okay, I know my problem. I want to build drawers fast that are sturdy, maybe not pretty. That's what I want to do. And if I had a thing that could just make 4 cuts in a piece of wood and then have the drawer fold up and come together,
okay,
that would be a worthy solution to fit the worthy problem. Okay, what does that look like? And then you can kind of, now you've made your criteria. You know?
Got it.
And
criteria, yes.
And that's important, because then you don't stop before you really have that magic solution. You know what it has to look like. It has to check all the boxes, and until it does, you just keep thinking about it. And if you never get there, then move on to another problem.
You know,
I think I tend to work it forwards and backwards, envisioning what an ideal solution would do.
Yes.
And, okay, what's inside that black box to make it do that?
Yes. And I've heard that before, and I actually, as you talk about it, I kind of done this. I've done the same thing myself with different things. So, okay, so you have a problem you want to solve, something that bugs you, and then you think about, I'm just trying to restate and make sure I understood this, and then you look at, okay, what would the ideal solution look like? What would the criteria be that would be what I would really want this? And then you just start working those things out as you go.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, it never happens exactly that linear. You bounce back and forth, and the mind works.
Yes.
In with a lot of loops, and you're kind of all over the place.
So you heard it. Andy's got loops in his mind.
Lots of loops in my mind. Very loopy.
All right. So you had the Sawblade, and before we, I mean, I want to take a better look at this, because this is the first time I've seen this thing up close and in front. I mean, what is this? 1/4 of an inch thick?
Thereabouts.
It's about 1/4 of an inch thick. This is a heavy plate. This is really heavy, and it's got this bizarro looking profile that we all know works like magic. I'm impressed.
So, and just if I can kind of talk about this, I mean, when the video first came out, and even still now, people say, well, why don't you go on Kickstarter? And they say, well, you showed this to us in May, why isn't it out yet? And the thing you have to understand about this was good enough to make a video and demonstrate the proof of concept that it could work. But the overhang on the carbide sides where it meets the dado, and how you have to put a shim in between, and just the amount of metal here, and the fact that I had to hire a custom manufacturer to make a one-off that required manual sharpening. And by the way, trying to get away from that manual sharpening is a bit of a trick to make the profile work with automatic machines. And trying to get that all together into a commercial offering that's going to hit the right price point and really be functional and meet everyone's needs, that is not this. If I just sold this on Kickstarter, people would be unhappy. It can be a lot better than this. And that's why it takes some time. We've made a ton of progress, and I'm still really hopeful that we'll have something that meets all of those needs. But it wasn't the prototype.
I'm really impressed by the fact that you actually went out and hired someone to make this custom saw blade. When I saw your video, somehow I had it in my head that you just took a regular, 1/8 inch saw blade, and somehow you filed the teeth yourself, or put them on a grinder, or maybe had somebody grind them. I didn't realize that the whole blade, the plate, everything was custom for custom for the prototype. Proof of concept, as you said. Well, that's cool. And then you've got, just in the last year or so, or less than that even, you've had these other 2 inventions, which are just crazy genius to me. You had
well, you helped with both of those.
I did, but they were really, they were yours. I think I had a lot more input on the Vise, but just the same, they were your ideas. And so you had the clamps, and you got the Vise. So okay, the clamps. What initiated What was the problem you were looking at there?
So the clamps, similar. So the worthy problem there is to completely eliminate the need for clamping calls when you're doing panels. And I haven't done a lot of panel glue ups, but I did do one when I built the smashboard blades. I don't know if you want to link the video. Edit this out if not. Somewhere in here there's an annotation Charlie put in. But you can see me using clamping calls, and that's just kind of a real pain. If you could use the bars in a parallel clamp, just like clamping calls, and have it all just happen automatically as you tighten the handles on the parallel clamps and have four-way clamping pressure happening, that'd just be a really cool solution.
Right.
So I just kind of, that one I remember the exact moment it hit me. My son was up screaming at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I couldn't sleep. And I was just trying to escape my reality, so I started thinking about clamps. And I didn't solve it all, and we went back and forth a bit, but I kind of got the first seed of how that could all happen at the same time, and how this, the sloping faces on the back of the head sections of the clamps could start to do that.
What impressed me and surprised me with the clamps, like I said, Andy and I worked on that together, but like I said, it was still more Andy. But we started out, you had the adjustable height thread to adjust how thick the boards are, and you had a roller. And what impressed me the most about that it was how quickly and how dramatically you changed and improved it. I mean, you had the roller on there, and then bang, a couple days later, wait, I got it, and boom, and now it truly is elegant. It's an elegant solution.
And I think on that specific change, I think I really have the YouTube audience to thank, because just the process of posting the video, and I even said this on the second video where we revealed the change, just knowing that it was out there and people making really good, insightful comments and thinking about the design, that got me thinking about it and how could this be better. And it's kind of cool right now, but the need to adjust this depth thing for every thickness panel.
Right.
It sure would be cooler if you didn't have to do that. And do we really need such a steep angle on the back of this thing? And if we don't, what possibilities does that open up?
Right.
So it was just really, after posting the video, it was just really on my mind. I was thinking about it a lot, running in the background, and that's the story there.
And then you had the new Vise, this incredible Vise. So I want to tell the story on that one.
Yeah, the Vise. For a long time, quite a long time, again, back to the worthy problem, would be something with the functionality of a chain-coupled twin-screw vise. The big benefit there is that it doesn't rack. You turn one, and you can actuate it with one hand. You can put a workpiece in, you can turn it with just one hand, and since it's coupled with the chain, both the screws turn, it doesn't rack, that's great.
Right.
But it's not quick release. And that's a problem on two fronts. The obvious one is that it just takes longer to clamp and unclamp things, especially if you're changing size substantially. But also when you're building your bench, if your vise isn't going to be traveling very fast, you need to put your dog holes pretty close together.
You're right. You're in the case where you're using it as a tail vise.
In the case where you're using it as a tail vise.
And that twin screw works as a great tail vise.
Works as a great tail vise.
But it is incredibly slow.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't want your dog holes spaced 8 inches apart.
Right.
So I wanted to find a solution, something with that non-racking, one-handed functionality that would be quick travel. And for a long time, I was slugging away at the cable vise concept, where the two runners pinch together on the back.
Right,
and,
right.
That had some interesting potential, but I don't think it's as good as what we came up with the fast travel screw. I like that better. And when I hit on that concept, I abandoned the cable vise and just went down the direction of the fast travel threads and the I originally pictured a wheel actuator on the opposite side to do the final tightening. Through the course of working with you,
right, we came up with the cam.
The cam, which I think is better.
Yeah, I do too.
So
yeah, okay. So what's next?
What's next?
What new inventions are in the back of your mind now, or is that super secret?
Well, so I wouldn't. I mean, for all the inventions, just so everybody understands, the intellectual property strategy here. We filed provisional patents,
Right.
and that means that for a year we have the right to patent the given invention and nobody else does. It makes it very real that we are the ones who came up with it at this date, and nobody else can patent it. Technically, someone could still manufacture it, but then we can get a patent in a year and shut them down, so nobody bothers ramping up manufacturing of something that somebody is just going to get a patent and shut you down on.
Okay.
So I do have some ideas that I'm kicking around that may get to the point where I'm feeling like investing in a provisional patent and taking them forward.
Okay.
But since I don't have that now, I can't really talk about
Right.
it.
So that's that. And then the other one thing I wanted to mention here, and I want to talk a little bit more about, is, you know, everybody knows, everybody who's seen any one of the more than 1.5 million people anyway, not everybody, just 1.5 million people who've seen the Sawblade video, and a lot of the people who've seen these others, they know that you've got this creative mechanical genius thing, but you also do woodworking. You make furniture.
All right, I did back when I had a shop.
Yeah, yeah.
And I intend to again.
And I know the two that I can think of, the two tables I can think of. You had the dinosaur table with the inlay, and that was a really good video too that you did on that. And then you had the dining table. Talk a little bit about that, if you would.
Yeah, the twisted dining room table. So I drew from a number of different inspirations and kind of added my own twist on some things I'd seen twist, and really wanted to do something ambitious and push myself to develop some new skills, and that table was definitely a good way of doing that.
Okay.
And burning a lot of time.
So anyway,
fun.
for sure, I'm sure there'll be a link. Annie had several videos on, but the primary video on that table, I'll have a link in the stuff below here, so you can check that out. And now I'm kind of, don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think we have a lot to look forward to on shop projects with putting this new shop together.
Yep. I think the challenge is going to be, you know, I don't want my channel to be just shop projects, and that's a little tricky right now because I've got a whole lot of shop set up to do ahead of me. So I think I need to get creative, thinking about the tools and capabilities I do have available to me, and actually do some projects along the way, so it's not all just shop stuff.
So I guess that was the thing I wanted to wrap up with is I asked you what was new inventions, but what's ahead for Andy?
Yeah, you know, I just got settled here in Denver, living here permanently in December. So it's about
2 months.
2 months ago. We should clarify because this video isn't going to go up right away. So getting the shop set up and getting some more videos out, thinking about some projects to work in, and at the same time trying to advance the 3 inventions that are underway is going to keep me quite busy for the foreseeable future.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, before we head out, I just wanted to mention I've got my giant wallpaper-sized stickers here, and I hope you put that in some prominent place here in your new shop.
Absolutely, I'll do that.
And thanks so much for having me here, Andy. I hope you enjoyed this, and please share, subscribe, and leave comments on this. If you have specific comments about Andy's inventions, for sure leave them down here. Check out his channel, and I'll have links down there. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks.